There are rare moments in history when the entire world pauses and looks toward one nation for leadership, strength, and decisive action. When the United States moves, markets react, allies pay attention, and rivals recalculate their next steps. For generations, America has built a level of military capability unmatched in modern history, with aircraft carriers crossing oceans like floating cities, stealth bombers capable of reaching targets across continents, and technology so advanced that it can reshape battlefields before the enemy even understands what happened. That power is more than weapons and machines. It is the symbol of a country that has repeatedly demonstrated its ability to defend its interests and project influence across the globe. And whenever tensions with Iran rise, the world is reminded once again that the United States remains the central force in international security. But beneath the displays of strength lies a dangerous rivalry built on decades of mistrust, strategic competition, and constant pressure. This is not simply a dispute between two governments. It is one of the most consequential confrontations of our era, and what happens next could affect oil prices, global markets, regional stability, and the balance of power in the Middle East. To understand why the United States and Iran remain locked in tension today, it is necessary to look back to the political transformations that changed both countries forever. For many years, Iran was governed by the Shah, a ruler who maintained close ties with Washington and was seen as a key American partner in a strategically vital region. During that era, the United States considered Iran an anchor of stability and an ally against hostile influences in the Middle East. But everything changed in 1979 when the Islamic Revolution overthrew the Shah and established a new government led by religious authorities who deeply opposed American influence. What followed was one of the most dramatic diplomatic crises of the 20th century, when militants stormed the United States Embassy in Tehran and held American diplomats hostage for 444 days. The images of blindfolded hostages and burning anti-American anger shocked the American public and permanently altered the relationship between the two nations. Since that moment, trust has never been restored. Instead, suspicion grew year after year, with each side believing the other was trying to weaken, isolate, or destroy it. As the decades passed, the rivalry became even more dangerous when Iran's nuclear ambitions emerged as a central issue. Iranian leaders have consistently argued that their nuclear program exists for peaceful purposes such as electricity generation, medical research, and scientific advancement. However, American officials and many U.S. allies have long feared that the same technology used for civilian purposes could eventually be turned toward building nuclear weapons. For Washington, the possibility of a hostile regional power obtaining such weapons would represent a major strategic threat. It could endanger allies, increase the risk of war, and inspire other countries in the region to pursue their own nuclear arsenals. These fears led to years of sanctions, diplomatic pressure, covert operations, and tense negotiations. Eventually, an international agreement was reached to limit Iran's nuclear activities in exchange for economic relief, but the arrangement later weakened and tensions returned. Since then, every announcement about uranium enrichment, inspections, or missile development has carried global significance, because the nuclear issue is not just about technology. It is about power, deterrence, and the fear that one misstep could transform a cold rivalry into a far more dangerous confrontation. Unlike traditional enemies who meet directly on battlefields, the United States and Iran often confront each other through indirect means in what many analysts describe as a shadow war. Iran has expanded its influence by supporting allied groups and political movements across Lebanon, Iraq, Syria, and Yemen, allowing it to pressure adversaries without engaging in open conventional war. Through these networks, Tehran can challenge American influence, threaten rival states, and maintain strategic leverage throughout the region. The United States, on the other hand, uses a different set of tools. It maintains military bases, naval fleets, advanced surveillance systems, intelligence partnerships, and powerful economic sanctions that can severely damage Iran's economy. This creates a cycle of pressure and response in which one side launches drones, the other increases air defenses, one side backs militias, the other deploys warships. One side threatens trade routes, the other forms coalitions to protect them. It is a dangerous contest because it allows conflict to continue constantly while stopping just short of total war, yet every exchange carries the risk of escalation. Whenever tensions intensify, the United States demonstrates why it remains the most formidable military power in the modern world. Few countries possess the ability to move large forces across oceans, coordinate global intelligence in real time, and strike with precision at enormous distances. American aircraft carriers can arrive as visible symbols of strength, while advanced fighter jets and missile systems can alter the strategic equation overnight. The purpose of these deployments is often larger than combat itself. They are messages sent not only to Iran but to allies, adversaries, and financial markets around the world. They signal that American interests will be defended and that aggression will face consequences. This reputation for overwhelming capability shapes every calculation made by rivals. Even governments hostile to Washington understand that direct military confrontation with the United States would come with immense costs. Yet, American leaders also know that military superiority does not automatically create political solutions. A successful strike may take hours, but the instability that follows can last years. That is why displays of force are often designed to deter war rather than start one. At the present moment, tensions remain high because several regional crises are happening at the same time. Conflicts involving armed groups aligned with Iran, disputes over maritime security, and continuing concern over nuclear development have created a highly unstable environment. Forces connected to Iran have targeted American positions and U.S. partners in parts of the Middle East, while the United States has responded with defensive deployments and retaliatory actions when it believed its personnel or interests were under threat. Strategic waterways remain under heavy scrutiny because disruptions there can affect shipping lanes and global energy supplies. Meanwhile, diplomacy continues quietly in the background, but decades of mistrust make progress extremely difficult. Each side insists it is acting defensively, while accusing the other of provocation. Each side wants to appear strong, but neither can fully control how regional allies, militias, or sudden incidents might change the situation. That uncertainty is what makes the current phase of the conflict so dangerous. Even without an official declaration of war, the confrontation remains active and volatile. Many people wonder why two countries with such deep hostility have not entered a direct full-scale war. The answer lies in the enormous cost such a conflict would bring. The United States has clear military superiority, but any large war in the Middle East would demand vast resources, political attention, and long-term commitments. Iran, while much weaker in conventional military terms, still has the ability to create serious disruption through missiles, regional networks, and pressure on vital shipping routes. A war could send oil prices soaring, shake global markets, destabilize neighboring countries, and create humanitarian crises across the region. Both governments understand these realities. They also understand that once a major war begins, controlling how it ends becomes much harder. For that reason, the struggle often remains below the level of open war, where sanctions, cyber operations, intelligence actions, proxy conflicts, and carefully calibrated strikes become the preferred tools of competition. The conflict between the United States and Iran is one of the defining strategic rivalries of the modern era. It is not merely a disagreement between governments, but a contest involving military power, regional influence, energy security, ideology, and the future balance of power in the Middle East. America enters this confrontation with unmatched capabilities, global reach, and alliances that span continents, while Iran relies on endurance, regional partnerships, and long-term asymmetric strategy. Neither side wants to appear weak, and neither side can afford to underestimate the other. That is why the world continues to watch every statement from Washington and Tehran so closely. A single decision, a miscalculation, or an unexpected attack could reshape global headlines overnight. The central question now is whether power will continue to be used as a tool of deterrence and stability, or whether the next chapter of this rivalry will be written through open conflict.